This is SMNI News Channel. Truth that matters.
In the headlines, deadly quake shakes Cebu. A powerful 6.9 magnitude earthquake rocks the Philippine island, leaving destruction behind. Dozens dead, hundreds are injured, and agencies are scrambling to provide aid to shaken communities, prompting rescue and relief operations. Russia raises alarm as Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov questions Washington judgment, casting doubt that the U.S. would ever trust Ukraine with deadly Tomahawk missiles. China draws a red line as Xi Jinping issues a sharp warning against Taiwan independence, reaffirming that the island's future lies within the mainland. Terror in Quetta. An explosion targeting security personnel kills at least 10 and injures dozens, with authorities rushing to contain the chaos. Tragedy in Paris. South Africa's ambassador plunges to his death, sending shockwaves through the diplomatic community. Venezuela hails African nations for backing Caracas against U.S. pressure in a show of defiance on the global stage. Colombia's President Gustavo Petro strikes back, slamming U.S. visa sanctions and announcing an end to his country's free trade deal with Israel. U.S. government shutdown begins. At midnight, federal operations grinded to a halt as Congress and the White House failed to agree on funding. Republicans and Democrats blame each other and refuses to yield. President Donald Trump had warned a shutdown was likely, and now the nation faces uncertainty. And NBA fans rejoice. LeBron James shuts down retirement rumors, declaring he's not done yet. I'm Carlo de la Peña. Newsline World starts now. A magnitude 6.9 earthquake struck Cebu on Tuesday night, claiming lives and injuring dozens. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. ordered various government agencies to immediately mobilize and provide assistance to affected communities. Creselyn Catarong reports.
Thousands of lives were shaken in an instant when the quake rocked the island of Cebu, sending residents scrambling out of their homes, while others were trapped in the rubble. According to the Cebu Provincial Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Office, at least 61 people are confirmed dead. The National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council reports 147 others injured. Officials warn that those numbers could still climb as search and rescue operations continue. The Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology, or PHIVOLCS, initially recorded the quake at magnitude 6.7 before revising it to 6.9. The earthquake occurred at 9:59 p.m. on September 30, with its epicenter 21 kilometers northeast of Bogo City, Cebu. Acting on President Ferdinand Marcos Jr.'s instructions, the Department of Health quickly assessed the status of its personnel near the affected areas. Medical staff from the DOH Vicente Soto Memorial Medical Center and DOH Cebu South Medical Center confirmed their safety and are now deploying medical teams, particularly to Bogo City. DOH regional offices for Central and Eastern Visayas also reported back and are coordinating with their counterparts at the Office of Civil Defense. The DOH advises residents in the affected areas to follow local government directives and remain prepared for possible aftershocks. Meanwhile, the Department of Social Welfare and Development Field Office 7 in Central Visayas is also ramping up relief operations, working with local governments on evacuations and the distribution of family food packs. The agency says it has 379 million pesos in standby funds and more than 2 million food packs prepositioned nationwide. Beyond resource support, the DSWD is assisting local governments in evacuating affected families to safe locations and ensuring they receive necessary aid. The Department of Budget and Management, meanwhile, urged agencies to activate their quick response funds without delay. These funds serve as emergency reserves to finance urgent relief and recovery operations, enabling communities to recover swiftly from disasters like earthquakes and typhoons. DBM regional offices in Central and Eastern Visayas have also been directed to coordinate closely with the OCD to identify specific needs where DBM assistance can be extended. Agencies may request replenishment of their QRF once their available balance drops 50% or below. Residents are being urged to follow local government advisories and prepare for aftershocks as recovery operations continue. Reporting for Newsline World, this has been Carceline Catarong, SMNI News.
Meanwhile, following the devastation brought by severe tropical storm Opong in Masbate, President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. personally visited Masbate City today to oversee and lead the distribution of government assistance to affected families and communities. During a relief event held at Nursery Elementary School, Marcos handed out aid to displaced families, local government units, and various beneficiaries. Among the key forms of assistance were 10,000 pesos in cash grants under the Department of Social Welfare and Development's Assistance to Individuals in Crisis Situation or AICS program for 600 families. The Department of Labor and Employment or DOLE Region 5 also turned over 2 checks worth over 34.8 million pesos to the provincial government of Masbate. These funds will support livelihood programs and the Tulong Panghanapbuhay sa Ating Disadvantaged Workers or TUPAD program for 6,455 beneficiaries across 11 municipalities. President Marcos also officially turned over 2 Starlink satellite units to improve connectivity at Nursery Elementary School. By the order of the President, the Philippine National Police has mobilized its full resources to respond to deadly magnitude 6.9 earthquake that struck Cebu and several parts of the Visayas. Paul Montebon tells us more.
Acting Chief PNP Police Lieutenant General Jose Melencio Nartates Jr. immediately directed Police Regional Office 7 to activate its Disaster Incident Management Task Group, ensure a full accounting of deployed personnel, and conduct a rapid damage assessment and needs analysis in areas affected by the deadly earthquake that struck Cebu last night. Initial reports from Cebu confirm structural damages and disruptions, a fire incident at SM Consolacion, the collapse of a tunnel in Mambaling, heavy damage to commercial establishments in Cebu City, and a collapsed church in Daan Bantayan. Several areas including Talisay City, Bogo, Danao, Toledo, and other northern municipalities also experienced widespread power outages. The acting chief PNP underscored the importance of close coordination with the National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council, local government units, and other frontline agencies. Also, additional resources from nearby regions are already on standby to reinforce relief, rescue, and recovery operations in Cebu and surrounding areas. The PNP assures the public of its unwavering commitment to maintain peace and order while extending support to disaster-stricken communities. Citizens are urged to remain vigilant, heed government advisories, and rely on official information channels. Reporting for Newsline World, this has been Paul Montebon, SMNI News.
Nearly 400 overseas Filipino workers who suffered abuse and deception abroad have received assistance from the Philippine government. The Department of Migrant Workers allocated 20 million pesos for 399 OFWs who fell victim to illegal recruitment and human trafficking. According to the DMW, each beneficiary received 50,000 pesos during the distribution held at the DMW Central Office in Mandaluyong City last 30th of September. The recipients included 200 OFWs victimized by illegal recruiters and 199 trafficking survivors from various countries such as Iraq, Malaysia, Laos, Cambodia, and Myanmar. Migrant Workers Secretary Hans Leo Kakdak said the agency is working hand-in-hand with other government offices to go after syndicates that exploit Filipinos seeking jobs abroad. At the same time, the DMW reminded the public to transact only with licensed recruitment agencies and to immediately report suspicious activities through their hotline 1348 or the official Facebook page of the Migrant Workers Protection Bureau. Chinese President Xi Jinping renews his warning against Taiwan independence, vowing to defend Beijing's sovereignty and territorial claims. According to Xi, Taiwan must never break away from the mainland. MJ Mondehar will give us the details.
As China marks its 76th National Day, President Xi Jinping called for deeper cross-strait exchanges but resolute opposition to separatist movements in Taiwan and interference from outside forces.
要深化两岸交流合作，坚决反对台独分裂行径和外部势力干涉，坚决捍卫国家主权和领土完整。
He also reaffirms China's one country, two systems pledge, promising continued support for Hong Kong and Macau to expand their economies and improve livelihoods. Earlier this week, China urged certain countries to stop providing a platform for separatist forces seeking Taiwan's secession. This is after certain figures from Taiwan visited Poland, attended the Warsaw Security Forum, and signed an aid pact with Ukraine in the Polish capital. Beijing maintains Taiwan is part of its territory under the One China principle. The island has never formally declared independence. Meanwhile, closing his remarks, President Xi raised a toast to the People's Republic.
健康，干杯！
Thousands gathered in Tiananmen Square to watch the flag-raising ceremony to mark China's 76th National Day, waving banners and singing the national anthem. This year's National Day also coincides with the 80th anniversary of the end of the World War II and the Second Sino-Japanese War. Reporting for Newsline World, this has been MJ Mondehar, SMNI News.
Up next, Russia raises alarm as Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov questions Washington judgment, casting doubt that the U.S. would ever trust Ukraine with deadly Tomahawk missiles. Tragedy in Paris. South Africa's ambassador plunges to his death, sending shockwaves through the diplomatic community. And U.S. government shutdown begins. At midnight, federal operations grinded to a halt as Congress and the White House failed to agree on funding. Republicans and Democrats blamed each other and refuses to yield. President Donald Trump had warned a shutdown was likely, and now the nation faces uncertainty. More news when Newsline World returns.
Maging ligtas, maging handa. Narito ang ilang paalala kung sakaling tumama ang lindol. Maghanda ng emergency kits na may lamang flashlight, pito, first aid kit, tubig at pagkain. Alamin ang emergency exits sa inyong bahay, paaralan o opisina. Habang lumilindol, magtago sa ilalim ng matibay na lamesa upang maprotektahan ang sarili sa mga nahuhulog na bagay. Lumayo sa mga bintana at mabibigat na gamit na maaaring mahulog. Kung ikaw ay nasa labas, lumayo sa mga gusali, puno o poste na maaaring matumba. Kung ikaw ay nagmamaneho, itabi at ihinto ang sasakyan at lumabas. Pagkatapos ng lindol, gamitin ang hagdan sa paglabas ng gusali at huwag gumamit ng elevator. Maging alerto sa aftershocks at manatili sa open space kung kinakailangan. Maging ligtas at maging handa sa anumang sakuna. Ang paalalang ito ay hatid sa inyo ng SMNI.
Ikaw ba ay namomroblema sa taas ng electric bill buwan-buwan? Huwag mag-alala, narito ang ilang paraan upang makatipid sa kuryente. Patayin ang mga ilaw at appliances kapag hindi ginagamit. Sa halip ay gumamit ng natural na liwanag upang makatipid sa kuryente. Tanggalin sa saksakan ang mga appliances kung hindi ginagamit. Iwasan ang paggamit ng maraming appliances ng sabay-sabay. Gumamit ng LED bulbs. Ito ay mas tipid sa kuryente kumpara sa mga incandescent at fluorescent bulbs. Regular na linisin ang mga appliances tulad ng electric fan, aircon vents at refrigerator. Magkaroon ng takdang araw sa isang linggo sa pamamalansya at paglalaba. Gumamit ng energy-efficient appliances. Tandaan, maging wais sa paggamit ng kuryente upang makatipid para mas gumaan ang buhay. Ang paalalang ito ay hatid sa inyo ng SMNI.
Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov says he would be surprised if the U.S. trusted Ukraine with Tomahawk missiles. He spoke at a foreign policy forum held recently in Sochi. Franco Baranda tells us more.
Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov argued that the U.S. has only given the advanced long-range weapons to a handful of European allies like Spain and the Netherlands. He also questioned whether Ukraine was responsible enough to handle them.
Я не думаю, что мы уже имеем дело с принятым решением. Томагавки американцы далеко не всем поставляют. Из европейцев, если я не ошибаюсь, в Испанию и в Нидерланды. Остальным как-то остерегаются. И если они считают, что Украина — это ответственная держава, которая будет ими ответственно пользоваться, то это будет для меня удивительно.
Lavrov added that the debate over Tomahawks was largely driven by European pressure, with Washington trying to appease its partners. Media reports last week suggested U.S. President Donald Trump was weighing the transfer of long-range weapons to Kiev, but U.S. envoy Keith Kellogg later clarified that no decision has been made. For God in my beloved Philippines, Franco Baranda, SMNI News.
A deadly explosion rocked the city of Quetta in Pakistan's Balochistan province, killing at least 10 and injuring dozens. Authorities confirmed the attack was aimed at security forces. Pakistan Health Minister Bakht Mohammad Kakar reported that 10 people died and 26 others were wounded in the blast. 2 security personnel were among the fatalities, while 5 of the injured remained in critical condition. The blast resulted in a widespread damage. Glass shattered, rubble across the area, and locals joining security and army personnel in clearing the debris. Eyewitnesses described the moments of chaos as the blast was followed by gunfire.
मैं ऑफिस के अंदर बैठा था, अचानक आवाज आई, उसके बाद शीशे नीचे सारे सर हम लोग के ऊपर गिर गए। फिर छुपने की जगह ही नहीं थी, वहाँ भागते थे, यहाँ भागते थे, फिर टेबल के नीचे हम लोग छुप गए। वहीं पे भी ये जो फायरिंग की आवाजें भी आ रही थी, एकदम जो शीशे टूट गए सर, वो शीशे हम लोग के ऊपर गिरे, जो भी थे दरवाजे सारे टूट गए सर, कंधे पे लग गए सर।
Pakistan President Asif Ali Zardari and Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif condemned the attack in the strongest terms. The ongoing Philippine congressional investigation into the alleged flood control project anomalies and controversies in the 2025 budget is nothing but a waste of time and is going nowhere. According to a former finance secretary under President Ferdinand Marcos Jr., he warned that such probes only tarnish the country's image. Let's find out more about this with Jason Rubico.
Parang telenovela itong nangyayari, di ba? Habang naghihiring-hiring na ganyan, sabi namin wala namang patutunguhan yan, di ba? Lalong nawawala ang kumpiyansa ng foreign investors. Cut the drama, cut the telenovela. Focus on the budget.
That was the statement of BSP Monetary Board member and former Finance Secretary Benjamin Diokno on the congressional inquiries into questionable projects and the 2025 national budget controversies. He stressed that the investigations are pointless and are being used for the personal gain of some lawmakers.
It's good for the proponents, yung mga free publicity sa kanila yan, di ba? So in aid of re-election, makakatulong yan. But to me, it's bad for our country. Tapusin na natin yan and then move on. Okay? Yun naman sabi ko din. That's the way. And then just follow the rules.
Diokno urged Congress to drop the probes and instead shift its focus to deliberations on the 2026 national budget.
Mag-focus na lang sila dito sa 2026 budget. Pakita nila na itong kongreso na ito ay iba sa mga nakarang kongreso. What do you mean iba? Siguro hindi na sila mag-i-insert. No? Well, no more insertions.
He further emphasized that there's no need for new legislation as the 1987 Constitution already provides sufficient safeguards for a sound budget process and proper use of public funds.
There are enough laws, in fact, most of them are constitutional provisions, that we don't need new laws to have an honest-to-goodness budget.
Diokno laid out his 10 rules to ensure fiscal consolidation, responsibility, and accountability. These includes respecting the budget formulation process of the Development Budget Coordination Committee, honoring foreign-assisted projects, making the General Appropriations Bill public in both the House and Senate, allowing Senate scrutiny of the House version of the GAB, opening the Bicameral Conference Committee to the public, and enabling the President to use the line item veto power. On accountability, Diokno further stressed that corruption cases should be handled solely by the Ombudsman, adding a suggestion on the kind of leadership the country needs for the post.
You should appoint somebody na credible. Kung naisip ko nga lagi yung dating Senador Miriam Defensore, kung may taong ganun sana, yun ang appoint mong ombudsman. I think may mangyayari.
For God and my beloved Philippines, I am Jason Rubrico, SM9 News.
Hala, magnanakaw!
Magnanakaw! Magnanakaw!
Magnanakaw!
Magnanakaw! Magnanakaw!
Ano kayang gagawin ko? Ipamimigay ko yung konti para tumigil sila sa pag-iingay.
Pare, magnanakaw, namimigay ng pera.
Eto ang sayo.
Wow! Ang bait ng magnanakaw!
Eto naman sayo.
Kuya, yung
eto
share ko! Sana
Huwag ka nang maingay. Eto pa. Tama na yan. Nakikipalato lang kayo eh. Huwag nang maingay. Diba? Konti lang pinamigay ko, mabait na ako. Tahimik na sila. Easy. Ngayon, pwede ko na tong suluhin.
Masaya ang mga tao, pero tama po ba ito? Di po ba ang nakikinabang sa magnanakaw ay kasabwat ng magnanakaw?
Ikaw, kinukonsenti mo ba ang legal na korupsyon?
South Korean President Lee Jae-myung and Japan's outgoing Prime Minister Shigeru Ichiba met for a high-level summit in Busan, discussing ways to strengthen ties between the two neighboring countries. Justin Nazare for this report.
South Korean President Lee Jae-myung is hoping that the talks with Japanese Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba will lay a foundation for closer cooperation between their countries. Lee emphasized that South Korea and Japan share a unique relationship shaped by geography and history.
제가 처음 뵀을 때 한국과 일본은 앞마당을 같이 쓰는 이웃과 같은 관계라고 말씀드렸는데 세상이 점점 어려워질수록 이 가까운 이웃들 간의 정리와 교류가 정말로 중요하다고 생각됩니다.
The summit also marked a significant gesture, with Ishiba praising the choice of venue outside Seoul. He noted the symbolism of Busan's proximity to Japan and the importance of people-to-people exchanges.
このサンは晴れた日には対馬が見えるとい 言われる土地であります。両国の近さを示しておりますし、今大統領がお話のように飛行機で2時間で参りました。おそらく私の出身地から飛行機で1時間だろうと思います。本当に極めて近いこの地域におきまして、大統領先ほどお話のようにソウルでなくて地方都市でやろうということがこういう形で実現しますことを心からありがたく思っております。真摯に象徴されるように人と人との活発な交流に支えられながら、両国が厳しい環境の中で共通の利益を見出し協力を進めていることができるということは何より素晴らしいことだと思う。
The two-day visit was Ishiba's first to a South Korean city outside Seoul in 21 years and comes shortly after his resignation as prime minister following his party's election loss. The summit also followed the 60th anniversary of the normalization of diplomatic relations, fulfilling a commitment by both countries to hold meetings outside the capitals to promote balanced regional development. Justin Azario, your citizen correspondent reporting for Newsline World.
A South African diplomat has been found dead in Paris under tragic circumstances. Authorities confirmed that the country's ambassador to France died after falling from a high-rise hotel. Almar Forsuelo reports.
The 58-year-old envoy was discovered at the foot of the Hyatt Regency Hotel in the city's western district. Local reports indicate he fell from the 22nd floor. Police secured the area around the tower. According to a prosecutor's office statement, the secure window in the ambassador's room had been forced open. Investigators also revealed that his mobile phone was last active on Monday near the Bois de Bologna. The incident followed a missing person report filed by Mtatwa's wife after she received a worrying message. The diplomat had last been publicly seen on Saturday at the commemoration of the Battle of the Delville Wood in Longueval. The South African Foreign Affairs Department said it is aware of the unfortunate reports and will issue a formal statement once full details are confirmed. Mtatwa was appointed to his post in France in February 2024 and also served as ambassador to Monaco and permanent delegate to UNESCO. He began his career in the anti-apartheid trade union movement before rising through the diplomatic ranks. Reporting for Newsline World, Almar Forsuelo, SMNI News.
U.S. government shutdown begins. At midnight, federal operations grinds to a halt as Congress and the White House failed to agree on funding. Republicans and Democrats blamed each other and refuses to yield. President Donald Trump had warned a shutdown was likely, and now the nation faces uncertainty. Joy Tabanao tells us more.
At the center of the fight, a temporary spending bill. The Republican-led House pushed it through, but the measure stalled in the Senate, leaving the country just hours away from running out of money. A shutdown meant the U.S. government will run out of funding unless the Congress approves a federal spending bill in the next few hours. President Trump blamed Democrats for the standoff, warning that a shutdown would mean sweeping job losses.
Well, the Democrats want to shut it down, so when you shut it down, you have to do layoffs. So we'd be laying off a lot of people that are going to be very affected, and the Democrats, they're going to be Democrats. No country can afford to pay for illegal immigration, health care for everybody that comes into the country, and that's what they're insisting. And obviously I have an obligation to not accept that. That would affect everybody.
Democrats countered that Republicans were the ones playing games, accusing them of neglecting healthcare priorities and pushing a costly agenda. Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer blamed the Republicans, accusing them of not taking government operations seriously, unwilling to negotiate, and were forcing Democrats to accept the Republican bill.
Too many Republicans are lying through their teeth. They say, oh, the Democrats want undocumented immigrants to get health care, to get the federal dollars of health care. That is utter and they know it.
Vice President J.D. Vance, meanwhile, accused Democrats of holding the government hostage, citing their $1.5 trillion proposal that included health care for undocumented migrants. He said such measures were unacceptable and warned that policy disputes should not come at the cost of shutting down government operations.
We have disagreements about tax policy, but you don't shut that government down. We have disagreements about healthcare policy, but you don't shut the government down. You don't put a gun to the American people's head and say, unless you do exactly what Senate and House Democrats want you to do, we're going to shut down your government. That's exactly what they're proposing out there.
Joy Manel, your global citizen correspondent reporting for Newsline World.
Colombian President Gustavo Petro presided over a cabinet meeting on Bogota on Monday, where he denounced the United States for revoking his visa following his participation in a pro-Palestinian protest in New York and announced the termination of Colombia's free trade agreement with Israel. More of this from Jane Cognita.
No. Colombian President Gustavo Petro denounced the United States, calling its decision a stupid act that violates international law. Petro stressed that no government has the right to revoke visas of leaders addressing issues at the United Nations. He further accused U.S. President Donald Trump of complicity in what he called genocide in Gaza, saying Trump deserved jail and that the U.S. military should not obey him. Petro also revealed that Colombia will halt its free trade deal with Israel and push to reform its existing trade agreement with the United States. He said coal exporters tied to Israel must either fold up or sell their concessions, emphasizing that trade is not above life.
Entonces, es una estupidez del gobierno de los Estados Unidos. Está quebrando el derecho internacional y no tiene derecho ni a quitarle la visa a nadie que vaya a hablar a Naciones Unidas o sobre temas que están en la discusión de Naciones Unidas. Esa es la ley mundial.
The Colombian president underscored that his country does not fit in NATO, rejecting both Western military alliances and BRICS, and instead called for stronger regional unity in Latin America and the Caribbean. This has been Jane Cognita, your global citizen correspondent, reporting for Newsline World.
Venezuelan Vice President Delcy Rodriguez expressed gratitude to African nations for backing Caracas against what she described as U.S. military hostilities during a video address to the 2025 Africa Energy Week on Tuesday. This report from Prince Tripoli.
Desde acá, en nombre del presidente Maduro,
Rodriguez thanked African countries for expression of support at the United Nations General Assembly, calling it a defense of peace in the Caribbean. She praised Africa's energy potential, describing the continent as a world champion of energy, with 7.8% of global oil reserves and 8% of daily production. The vice president highlighted Africa's energy poverty, stressing that up to 685 million Africans remain without electricity, while half of the 2 billion people relying on coal and firewood for cooking live in African communities. Rodriguez urged stronger cooperation between Venezuela and African states through OPEC and the African Petroleum Producers Organization, positioning this unity as a means to resist modern colonialist power.
Desde acá, en nombre del presidente Maduro, agradecemos todas las manifestaciones que durante la Asamblea General de las Naciones Unidas dieron los países de África a favor de Venezuela y en contra de esta amenaza que perturba la paz y la tranquilidad de nuestro mar Caribe. Quiero también saludar al secretario general de la OPEP, a los representantes, al secretario general de la Organización de Países Productores de Petróleo de África. Venezuela es el único país no africano que forma parte de esta organización. Nuestro agradecimiento por siempre. Llamo a que trabajemos juntos como una sola fuerza, África, Venezuela, donde las organizaciones sirvan también de empalme para que las propuestas energéticas a favor del desarrollo de nuestros pueblos, de manera soberana, a favor de la felicidad de nuestros pueblos, sea un solo objetivo estratégico a futuro de nuestros países.
This has been Prince Tripoli, your citizen correspondent.
For today's showbiz news, proving that every era must come to an end, Irish group Boyzone have announced their final one-night-only farewell gig set next year. Meanwhile, bride-to-be actress Zendaya skipped the traditional white and opted for a futuristic metallic dress to complement her diamond engagement ring at Paris Fashion Week. Stella Maris has more on the glitz and glam.
It's official. Beloved Irish boy band Boyzone will bid their fans a final goodbye with a one-night-only farewell concert at London's Emirates Stadium on June 6, 2026, marking the end of a legendary music journey that spanned 3 decades. The show, titled One for the Road, will take place in the Arsenal football ground and will reunite surviving members Ronan Keating, Keith Duffy, Shane Lynch, and Mikey Graham for their biggest headline performance ever. It comes nearly a decade after their thank you and goodnight farewell tour in 2018 to 2019, which was thought to be their last. But the idea came after the band's recent documentary, Boyzone No Matter What, received overwhelming love from fans, reigniting interest for a proper send-off. A special part of the concert will pay tribute to late member Stephen Gately, 33, who passed away in 2009. The group shared that performing without him will be bittersweet, but his spirit will remain central to the night. The band admitted that they are not making any music, and there's plenty of other bands who are active in the industry. Tickets go on pre-sale starting October 7 this year, with general sales opening October 10 via Ticketmaster and C-Tickets. While fans are excited to see Boyzone together again, some expressed disappointment that there are no scheduled dates in Ireland, where the band first rose to fame. Boyzone, who dominated the 1990s with hits like Love Me for a Reason and No Matter What, sold millions of records worldwide and cemented their legacy as one of Europe's biggest pop groups. Their final concert is set to be a historic celebration, closing their story with music, memories, and a heartfelt farewell to fans who have been with them from the start. Zendaya turns heads at the Louis Vuitton Spring-Summer 2026 show at the Paris Fashion Week. The actress and bride-to-be Zendaya made a striking appearance in a silver metallic mini coat dress that exuded a futuristic flair. Styled by Lo Roche, the outfit featured a crinkly aluminum-like fabric with metallic accents complemented by fluffy white fur cuffs and collar. The bow front closure added a touch of elegance, while the short length allowed the coat to function as a mini dress perfectly suited for the fall fashion season. Paired with matching silver pumps, Zendaya's ensemble was a standout moment at the event. But of course, the sparkle didn't stop there. Fans and fashion insiders alike couldn't help but notice Zendaya's exquisite diamond engagement ring, which perfectly complemented the outfit's silver sheen. The ring added just a touch of glam and romance, making her entire look a showstopper. As a brand ambassador for Louis Vuitton since 2023, Zendaya's appearance at the show was highly anticipated. The fashion house had teased her attendance with a playful video showing her receiving a show invitation. And that's all for today's showbiz news. This is Stella Maris, your citizen correspondent, bringing you the latest entertainment news and updates for Newsline World.
For our sports news, LeBron James enters the Los Angeles Lakers training camp for the 2025-2026 season. The NBA all-time leading scorer says he is not retiring just yet. Meanwhile, the Oklahoma City Thunder are targeting to defend their championship title in the new NBA season. Here's a report.
The NBA all-time leading scorer LeBron James has begun training camp with the Los Angeles Lakers as part of the team's preparation for the upcoming 2025-2026 NBA season. At Lakers Media Day, LeBron said he's excited for the new season, where he will once again play alongside his son, Bronny, who is now the team's backup point guard. This will also be his first full season playing with Luka Doncic after last year's mid-season trade involving Anthony Davis. In addition, the Lakers have strengthened their lineup with new additions such as DeAndre Ayton, Marcus Smart, and Jake LaRavia. LeBron could not hide his excitement for the upcoming regular season, which marks his 23rd season since being drafted in 2003 by the Cleveland Cavaliers. And as he turns 41 this December, the NBA all-time leading scorer said that as long as he can still play, he will give his all to inspire other players. He has not yet considered retirement, though he knows his career is nearing its end. For now, James remains determined to compete for another championship with the Lakers' new roster. The 2025-2026 NBA season will kick off on October 21, with the Lakers facing the Golden State Warriors. On the other hand, the Oklahoma City Thunder are also determined to defend their first ever championship title in the new NBA season. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who was named both NBA Most Valuable Player and Finals MVP in the 2024-2025 season, said he hopes their game results this season will be similar to last year. Their roster remains almost intact after winning the title with a 68-14 regular season record. Gilgeous-Alexander, All-Star Jalen Williams, and Shea Holmgren had all signed contract extensions this offseason. SGA believes that to replicate last season's success, they need to stick to the same strategy. This mindset, according to Williams, could bring even greater success to the team. Their head coach Mark Daigneault said that the Thunder's ability to prepare for any situation is one of their greatest strengths. The 2025-2026 NBA season will open with the Thunder facing the Houston Rockets.
For good news, thousands gathered in Mexico as the city broke the Guinness World Record for the largest discada ever cooked. A massive 5,000 kilogram of the beloved northern Mexican dish served in over 80,000 tacos in a celebration of culture, community, and culinary pride. Here's Charlene Arnillo for more.
In a sizzling display of culinary tradition and community spirit, Torreon, Coahuila in Mexico made history on Sunday by cooking the world's largest discada, a whopping 5,102 kilograms, officially smashing the previous Guinness World Record. Prepared on a custom-built 9-meter-wide metal disc, the monumental meal was cooked live at the Torreon, Coahuila Convention Center, where thousands of residents, volunteers, influencers, and food lovers gathered to witness the historic feat. The dish, a hallmark of northern Mexican cuisine, is a blend of meats, ham, bell peppers, onions, and tomatoes, all cooked together and typically served in tortillas. Its name comes from the metal disc, originally plow disc, traditionally used for cooking the meal in rural communities. Rodrigo Gonzalez, director of Torreon Coahuila Convention Center, said the main idea when this came up was to unify Torreon and show Mexico what it can do. Beyond breaking records, the event was a powerful nod to Torreon's rural heritage and culinary roots. Guinness World Records officials supervised the entire process, from preparation to the dramatic final weighing, which required lifting the enormous disc with a crane. When the final number of 5,102 kilograms was confirmed, the crowd erupted in celebration. This new record nearly doubles the previous one set earlier this year in Guadalupe, Nuevo Leon, or a 2.5-ton discada held the title. More than 80,000 tacos were served from the massive meal, with portions distributed to event collaborators, charitable organizations, social reintegration centers, and the general public, ensuring that the celebration was as generous as it was joyous. Charlene Arnillo, your citizen correspondent, reporting for Newsline World.
And before we end, may you be inspired with the words of the sun. As long as you are sincere in seeking for salvation, the Father will not lead you astray. And as we keep track of the countdown, there is only 85 days left before Christmas. And that's all for this edition of Newsline World. For God and my beloved country, the Philippines, I'm Carlo de la Peña. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.
This is SMNI News Channel. Truth that matters.